Welcome back, all you, at this point in time, 35 people that have watched our first video.
Or maybe it's your first time. Maybe you're a Joe and Patty virgin.
That's right. Welcome to Joe and Patty Have Complaints.
I'm Patty, obviously.
I'm Joe. The reason that we are calling this, well, we were calling this a podcast, but then you are watching this in a video on YouTube. The fact is that it costs money to host podcasts, and we're not all about that shit.
Plus,
So,
we're kind of broke.
yeah, who's got money for that? So, yeah, YouTube to the rescue. But apparently you can't monetize your shit anymore. Unless you have like 8 million views or some shit.
Right, you have to have, there's a view limit, you have to have so many followers, subscribers or whatever.
Right.
I looked.
Yeah, there's a bunch of rules now if you want to make money off YouTube. Thankfully, we're not trying to, so...
Not yet.
Not yet. We haven't gotten to the point where we sell out. So what are we going to talk about this week, Patty?
Oh, God.
Did we make a list?
We did make a list. I mean, I can tell you, I'm... if you listen to the last one, you know that I'm watching all of our Blu-rays in alphabetical order by barcode, so all of the Bond films are all together.
Right, because we have the collection.
So I'm about, I think I counted, it's like 46 movies in. I think I've only got, 4 Bond movies left.
We got 4 left. We just finished watching World Is Not Enough.
Ugh.
And I'm pissed because you watched a few of them without me.
You weren't here.
Because I was shunned because I'm at work. But you watched GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies without me. So my first Pierce Brosnan one I got to see was World Is Not Enough.
At least it wasn't Die Another Day.
I would...
Like, it could be worse.
They're both terrible.
At least this one has at least World Is Not Enough has Shirley Manson's beautiful pipes at the beginning.
It does. But I didn't even get to see that. No, wait, I did.
You? What?
I did. But you had to suffer through a lot to get this far.
Oh, God. Moonraker is so bad. Like, I always forget how bad it is.
Moonraker is... So, if anyone out there has seen all the James Bond movies, like, as many times as we have, I mean, I've seen them, like, does anyone remember watching TBS's James Bond marathons?
I definitely did that.
That's probably when I first saw quite a few of them. I know it was the first time I saw Diamonds Are Forever. Man with the Golden Gun could just never hold my interest.
It's kind of boring.
I remember my first James Bond movie I ever saw was View to a Kill. So, because I'm pretty sure that one was on HBO all the time. And then the Timothy Dalton ones came out, and then they were on, and then my experience of James Bond started at the time with like the last 3 movies, and
Sure.
I knew nothing of Sean Connery. I knew nothing of George Lazenby, which is a whole thing.
That's a whole other ball of wax. And I don't mind George Lazenby, and I think
I don't either.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service is such, like we were talking about, such a product of its time. The ending,
right?
It's such a downer.
Yeah, in the late 60s, there was this amazing trend where you just had to have a downer ending for your movie. Like, leave them on a really sour note.
I mean,
like,
and it is,
like, yeah,
it is hard. It's kind of like gut-wrenchingly sad ending.
I just got married, yay! Fuck you. And because spoilers.
Well, that movie, come on,
Is it
so old.
Let's look at my watch here. Yeah, it's almost 50 years old. So Bond gets married, meets a nice lady.
She's a countess?
She's a countess. She gets they get married, and in the end, like probably 45 seconds before credits roll, they're driving off, and then Blofeld does a drive-by and kills her.
Shoots her in the head.
She kills her. She dies
right
in the head.
In the head.
In the forehead. Dead.
And then it's not just that she dies, it's that like someone else drives up to see what's going on.
And a cop shows up.
And he's like,
it's fine.
He's so broken by it. He's pretending that she's not even dead, that it didn't happen.
It's such a downer. Like, it's the most depressing James Bond ending that will probably ever be. I can't imagine anything
Well, and like, I mean, the ending of Casino Royale was pretty depressing, but
Yeah, but it
they
wasn't
weren't
like
married.
they weren't married. It wasn't like, haha, happy ending. No, slap.
Right.
But yeah, so movies in the late '60s was like Bonnie and Clyde, Easy Rider. You had to have Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. You had to have those endings that just kind of, yay, dead. That's it. It's the perfect sound effect.
And then there couldn't have possibly been applause or anything. Like, it had to just
Right. Like, what was that like? To just, like, first of all, it's a James Bond movie with a new actor. Sean Connery had just done 5 movies as James Bond.
right.
And then you got this ending, which just pulls the rug right out from underneath you. And what was it? Just utter. Oh, that's what we were complaining about. That it ends so sad, but then the James Bond theme starts playing,
Right.
and
like,
it's really inappropriate.
It should, like, there was maybe 5 seconds of silence after it happens to before that, and you're thinking like, oh, it'll be respectful. There just won't be any
Right, the credits
music
are just
during
gonna
any credits.
roll.
Because the end credits on Bond films are generally pretty short.
The early ones, yeah.
And it's like, no, here's the.
It's like, what? No.
Why?
They just kind of, they wanted to make you feel somewhat better. I don't know. They failed in that part, but yeah, Honor Majesty's Secret Service is a good movie.
The other thing I'm noticing watching them is a lot of, I mean, it's not just like overt racism, like in what's the one where he's in Japan?
You Only Live Twice.
Right. The one after Honor Majesty's Secret Service.
The before.
Is it before?
Yeah, that was Sean Connery. Supposed to be Sean Connery's last one.
And they put him in essentially yellow face, kind of. They like,
because it's a disguise.
He's supposed to be a fisherman.
He's supposed to be fitting in.
But
Sean Connery,
like 2 feet taller than everyone.
He's like 6'7",
and they just gave him a stupid haircut and made him like hunched down.
No, they kind of slanted his eyes too.
It's like, so that's super racist. And then I noticed watching Tomorrow Never Dies, where Michelle Yeoh shows up and she's like coming at him, and then he just goes into, he's like, gets super racist with her. He's like,
right, yeah, it's like, right. He's making fun of her abilities,
and it's like, wow,
this
is the 90s, dude.
Yeah, but it's Jonathan Pryce, and he's a bad guy, and he gets his comeuppance. Does he throw him in like a meat grinder?
It's like the drill they use to get into the sub. Yeah.
I remember it being pretty brutal.
He brings it like at him and it comes into his chest.
Let's talk about the bad guy deaths that we've been witnessing. My favorite so far, and I think of all time, is Spy Who Loved Me, where it's nothing fancy. He just fucking shoots the guy like 5 times.
Right. It's like, you got him. He's dead.
He's dead.
And he just keeps doing it.
Yeah, he shoots him through like a tube under the table that the old guy is sitting at, which I think he's sitting at through like most of the movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do much else.
And then after he shoots through the tube, the chair, he falls over in the chair. Back. He's on the floor.
And there's like a visible wound that's bleeding.
And then he just keeps shooting.
He shoots him like 3 more times
before he leaves out of that room.
It's so like, wow. Roger Moore wasn't fucking around with this one. But then the one after that was Moonraker, and he shoots the guy out of an airlock.
But because it's,
because he's there in space. How else are you going to kill the bad guy?
That's obviously.
Or there's actually Bond doesn't kill him, but in License to Kill, when Sanchez has the guy in like the pressure tank, and he hits the pipe and the guy's head explodes. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And incredibly violent.
The Timothy Dalton ones were quite violent.
License to Kill.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of my favorites. It's in my top 5.
It's definitely quite good. Like, I like
the whole truck chase.
Well, I mean, the opening was really good.
Yeah.
It's like they're all in tuxes.
Right.
Sharky looks weird in a tux.
Right.
And then like
Frank McRae.
The parachuting into the wedding.
Right. Are you sad that I didn't do that?
No.
I
feel like with our luck, you would have like the wind would have changed, and you would have ended up like in Frankfurt.
I would have ended up in Frankfurt
at the lighthouse
at the A&W.
But There's some pretty downer stuff in License to Kill too.
Mhm.
Like
Right. Felix.
Felix is like they'd
First
only
of
been
all,
married for like 6 hours.
It's definitely implied that they like raped her
Yeah.
and then shot her.
Yeah.
And then they fed Felix to sharks and they bit his leg off, but he's still alive.
Right. So great. Thanks for letting me live.
And this is
knowing that
right.
someone raped and murdered my brand new wife. We literally just got married that day.
Right. And this is like the 5th Felix Leiter in
Yeah.
the series, which was weird because there was a Felix Leiter in Living Daylights, which is the movie right before.
Right, and it was a different guy, a younger guy.
Way younger.
Yeah.
And then this was like, did they?
I know we're not.
Oh, but the thing is though, that actor in License to Kill was in, I think, the same guy from You Only Live Twice. So they brought him back, so they
just skipped over.
They could kill him, his wife. It's weird. There's a weird continuity to them all.
Yeah.
And we've still got Die Another Day, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre, technically, but we don't own that.
I don't own Spectre, or
right.
we don't own it, and even if we did, it's not part of this collection, so it wouldn't come up until the end.
Right. Couldn't watch it. Because this collection was really cool when I bought it in like 2012. Skyfall
was
just in theaters, but in the back of the book, there was a little...
they left a slot.
They left a slot open for it. So when you bought the movie, you could slide it in, and then there you go. It's part of your collection.
Except
the disc
doesn't match the rest of the discs.
Artwork
it's
on the disc.
White.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the discs in this set are just beautiful.
Right.
It's black with like gold writing.
It's very streamlined. They're all the same. The menus, everything.
Everything.
And then Skyfall comes along.
And the menu is different. The disc looks different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Continuity
in
your packaging.
Oh well.
You mentioned the Felix Leiter thing and bringing back an actor.
Yeah.
I do have a complaint about Jodan Baker.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you should
just in general.
In general, but
I really know nothing about Jodan Baker other than
Mitchell
and Final Justice from Mystery Science Theater. So for all I know, he might be a good guy. But he just doesn't look like one.
I don't think he is.
He might be.
But no, like he was the villain.
Yes.
In Living Daylights.
He was like...
and he was super into like
war,
and he had all the war paraphernalia, and Timothy Dalton fucking killed him.
Right.
And then cut to there's a movie between that and GoldenEye.
2.
He showed up in GoldenEye.
Oh, right. There was 2. There's just 1.
And then, like, he's in GoldenEye, and he works for, like, the CIA, and he's a good guy. And it's like, did they think nobody was going to notice?
Maybe.
That they reused an actor?
Maybe. It was almost 10 years later, and I don't know. Maybe they didn't. They got away with it.
I guess.
Maybe it was brought up.
So they were like, whatever. We owe Jodan a favor.
We got Jodan Baker. He's coming back. Same guy? Different guy.
Different character. He's a good guy this time.
But that's also happened before because Sean Connery came back to do Diamonds Are Forever after On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think George Lazenby, he was contracted to do like 3 or 4 movies.
Didn't he want more money?
He didn't want more money. He just didn't want to do it anymore. He just wanted, he didn't like the experience at all because one, there's this Hulu.
Oh, that's right.
There's this Hulu movie / documentary about George Lazenby as James Bond and how he completely lied about everything on his resume. Like he had no acting experience. He said he just done some modeling.
He was like a car salesman.
He said he could fight. He said he could do all these things. He was a complete fraud, but he got the part. And making the movie, he hated all of it. He hated the attention. He hated everything that came with being James Bond. So basically what took Sean Connery 5 movies to figure out, it took George Lazenby 1.
I feel like Daniel Craig realized that right away, too.
Yeah. After like Skyfall.
I think by when Quantum of Solace, when he was done making it, I think he was already trying to get out.
He was done by then? Oh, Daniel.
Then he just re-upped for like 4 more movies.
Well, yeah.
Because you don't really have to do anything else.
You do these Bond movies to stay in the spectrum, and then you can do all these other little things.
Oh yeah, what's Pierce Brosnan been up to?
He was just in the Jackie Chan movie.
Oh, that's right, The Foreigner.
The Foreigner, yeah.
That's right.
That's
I forgot
probably
about
the
that.
last thing I saw him in.
Yeah,
but then he was in World's End.
Yep.
He's doing stuff.
He's around.
He's living his not his twilight years. I don't think he's dying, but
and he's not
he's
like
in his
old.
60s, so
he's still handsome.
He's just going about it.
And Timothy Dalton's
still.
He's around.
What was the last thing you saw him in?
Hot Fuzz. I mean, I'm sure he's been in other things since.
Remember Beautician and the Beast?
Sadly. Yes, I do.
I never saw it.
I did see it.
Oh, did you see it in the theater?
No.
Okay.
God, no.
Well, it came out when you were a teenage girl. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think I was like 14 when that movie came out.
It was 21 years ago.
And here we are talking about it.
We're talking about it on a podcast. And you're listening.
I hope you're still. Are you still there?
It turned out Joe Don Baker. This is bullshit.
But watching them, like, and I feel like it's something that has been brought up before. Like, I seem to remember someone on the internet posing a question about, like, how is the character of James Bond? Like, because you'll skip a few it'll be 2 actors later, and they're still talking about his wife Tracy that died.
Right.
But that happened to the George Lazenby Bond.
Right.
So I used to think that Bond and the number 007
right.
were assigned.
Right.
Like Q is for Q Branch, but like they just call...
His name is Boothroyd.
Right.
And I think at some point, I forget which one, it might have been...
The first guy?
For Your Eyes Only.
Because Desmond Llewellyn wasn't in the first one.
No. It might have been Honor Majesty's Secret Service. Someone's like, hello, Agent Boothroyd. And it was like the first time he'd ever been called that.
Right. But Q is like the branch that makes the gadgets.
It stands for Quartermaster.
But and like M, they've shown us in the Daniel Craig ones that's a moniker that gets passed.
Right.
But when you look at it, that like, George Lazenby's the Bond whose wife got shot.
Yeah.
But then they mention
her again in For Your Eyes Only.
Right.
Because he's standing at her grave.
And it's like...
but then also...
they mention her in one of the Timothy Dalton ones, too,
right.
I think.
It was another Roger... Oh, it was Octopussy, where she starts telling him about himself.
His history.
And then when they get to him being married, he goes, that's enough. But then in License to Kill, Felix mentions that he'd been married once, but that was a long time ago.
Right.
And I don't think it was ever brought up in any of the Pierce Brosnan
I don't think so either, but it... in order for the timeline to make sense, I have a new theory. It's not that the Bond name and number keep getting passed, and in which case they have to keep this like, oh well, here's your dossier. This is the history of every Bond before you learn it.
Right.
But I don't think that's the case.
This is your story now.
I think that Agent Boothroyd for Quartermaster Branch,
right, is
a time traveler.
Oh.
Because, and it's like, it came to me because it's, you're watching and it's right before he gets to leave for the mission. Bond gets to leave.
Yeah.
And he goes to Q to get his supplies.
His gadgets.
His gadgets in his car and whatever.
Which somehow always seem to come in handy.
Right. Like, he only gives him like 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's a pen, here's how you work it. Here's the phone, here's how you work it. Here's the gadgets in your car. And then Bond uses every single one of those things specifically in the mission.
To survive. Case in point, we just watched World's Not Enough, and in it, when Q is giving him all of his stuff, he gives him a jacket which inflates
into like
a giant
a cocoon ball.
And then not like 20 minutes later, he's skiing, the bad guys are chasing after him, and he gets caught in an avalanche, and he needs that to survive.
Right. Why?
What the fuck?
Why did Q make the jacket a ski jacket? Why not a suit jacket? Because that's always what Bond wears.
Why not any sort of jacket?
Q knows exactly which gadgets are needed without being like super obvious about it. So what happens is he accidentally invented a time machine. Because
Q is a genius.
Right.
He invents all this stuff. It's fair to say
that he could do this.
He invented a time machine at some point.
And knowing him, it would be like pocket-sized.
Right. It eventually, over time, it might have started out as a giant time machine.
But he's gotten it smaller and smaller.
But it's smaller and smaller.
But what happens is Bond dies, or the mission fails, the world is ending, because in some of them, like, that literally is what could happen. So
if he doesn't have the right equipment.
So he hits his time machine button, and he goes back to make sure that Bond gets the exact things he needs. But every time he goes back to fix it, something changes slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he's had to do this for every single mission.
Yeah.
So over time, every time he goes back to change things, sometimes he goes back and ends up changing it.
Changes something, and then
it's a completely different man.
An alternate timeline in which someone else becomes 007.
Right.
Someone else is James Bond. Because this also goes back to something that we talked about last time in the movie The A-Team, where the first time he meets Patrick Wilson's character, he tells him that his name is Lynch. And Liam Neeson says, I knew a man named Lynch once. He was in Vietnam.
Well, right, because that's the joke.
And that the joke is that
everybody in the CIA...
Lynch is just a passed down code name. Assigned name. And so the same thing could be said like James Bond. Only... But this new theory is so much more interesting.
Well, it's I guess it's a combination, because what it would be is he goes back to change something, it alters the timeline, and then a different man grows up to join MI6 to be given that name and number, but the same things happen to that person. Except for then he's got the right gadgets.
Because he still meets a lady named Tracy, or what have you. Right. Marries her, and then a bad guy kills her.
Right. Because it's
immediately after he gets married.
I just mean, like, you can't, as an agent, you can't have attachments like that.
That's right. I'm surprised they don't notice this. Can't have a family. Right. But that was always something I thought was going to happen in Skyfall, because Skyfall was the 50th anniversary?
Yes.
And I thought they were going to do something special, like let you know that.
Well, they did. They showed you that M is a name that's passed.
Yeah, well, that's whatever. But then Spectre came along and fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Because they were doing so well. And if in Skyfall they had just said, no, James Bond is not a singular person. It is a moniker and a number
that we assign.
That is assigned to the right person. And I thought that they were going to do something cool, like when they went to Skyfall, you were going to see like that was like a training ground.
Or even if they had made it that what's his name had been a previous 007.
Right. And I think
they thought he was dead, so they assigned it to somebody else.
The caretaker of Skyfall.
Yeah, okay.
Who was that?
I can't think of his name.
Oh, dang it. I forget his name. I'm sorry if you're listening. He's not listening. But that was supposed to be Sean Connery.
Which, if it was...
Which would have been insanely cool. And, of course, he's retired. He doesn't want to do anything movie-related anymore, which is such a shame. Because that would have been amazing. It could have been Roger Moore.
Right.
It could have been Timothy Dalton. It could have been...
Right, any of them.
Yeah. And I think that would have been cool, but they didn't do anything like that. And that's kind of, I thought like Skyfall was kind of going downhill for me. And then Spectre came along.
And just screwed the
just
pooch.
Fucked everything up, making...
Like you brought back Blofeld.
Right.
Which is a mistake, I feel like.
What was it? No, not Hydra. That's Marvel. Spectre. Fucking duh.
I mean, it is a Hydra. Its logo is a Hydra.
If the organization...
Not a Hydra, it's a squid or something, right?
Because in Diamonds Are Forever, James Bond finally overthrew Spectre. And then in the movies following, he fought other villains, like Villain of the Week type of thing.
Well, no, because eventually Roger Moore had to... Well, it didn't say that it was Blofeld, but it was clearly...
Right, okay, so let's say that... Right, Spectre went under, but then Blofeld resurfaced to try and kill James Bond one more time in the beginning of For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah.
But then James Bond drops him down a fucking chimney, and so he's dead. He didn't survive that. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And then the movie goes on. And it's great. It's one of my favorites. And then Spectre sort of starts resurfacing in the Daniel Craig ones.
Right.
And then they're like building to like it could have been, it didn't need to be Blofeld.
Right. It could have been anybody. It could have been someone restarting the organization.
Yeah. And then that would have just been like, our organization died in the 60s, but we never really died. We just sort of...
We went underground.
We went underground, and now we're back.
And here's Dave Bautista. And
here you go. He's a gorilla in a suit. Does he have any lines?
I think he might say like one or two things.
He just says like shit before getting sucked out of a train, doesn't he?
Something like that, yeah.
I only saw the whole movie once.
Me too, actually.
But, and it's upsetting because they could have done so many things, but instead they just tried to connect the last 4 movies in a really shitty way.
Yeah.
And it's Blofeld. It's like, no, we've already seen Blofeld. We saw Blofeld 40 years ago.
Right. We saw Blofeld as acted by like 5 different people.
Right. And you could have done so much.
I did realize, and I told you when you got home, that I realized there's only one Bond movie I ever saw theatrically.
Which was what?
Tomorrow Never Dies.
In the theater.
In the theater.
You've only seen
one
when it originally came out.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And I cut school to do it.
I've seen all of them from GoldenEye on. GoldenEye was the first James Bond movie I saw in the theater. And I remember the first time I went to see it, it was sold out.
Wow.
So I couldn't see it. Because this was back in the day when you never got one theater full of something, not 12.
Well, and do you think people were really excited because there was a gap between Timothy Dalton?
There was a gap. There's like 6-year gap.
Right.
And we finally had a new Bond movie, and it looked awesome. I remember it had a really great trailer.
Well,
and it got people excited again.
And there's like good people in it.
And there's really good people.
Like Famke Janssen is great in that movie.
Sean Bean.
Right, Sean Bean.
She's the bad guy, dying really hard in this one. Like
really hard.
Like really hard. Like falling from a satellite isn't bad enough. Then having the satellite explode and fall on you, or does it fall on him then explode?
Yes.
Yes.
And
is that the
Alan Cummings' death is pretty satisfying.
Does he die though?
Yeah, he gets like frozen, like insta-frozen.
Yeah.
After he yells, "I'm invincible."
Yeah.
And he's such a pervert.
He gets frozen.
And I love Alan Cumming. Like, I think he's great.
And then you get the first appearance of Judi Dench.
Yeah.
And Bond sort of just comes in the 90s.
Right. And I talked about this with you too, that it started with like the last 2 Roger Moore ones and continued on, that they became less like spy thriller espionage movies, and they were just like action movies. And all the Pierce Brosnan ones are like that.
Yeah. They're pretty...
where it's just like stuff blows up.
They start getting like...
And then they get really outlandish. They start getting outlandish
really
with
crazy.
The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah. And then Die Another Day is just like a whole other beast of insanity.
And it's like the worst Bond song.
It's just...
It's the worst.
Let's talk about Bond songs. I think some of the best are obviously Shirley Bassey. How many does she have? 2. She's got 2. Is it only 2? I thought it was 3.
No, she did 2. She did Diamonds Are Forever and
she did Goldfinger.
Yeah, and Goldfinger.
Which we would just randomly say to each other for like 3 days after we watched Goldfinger. Well, you did. But
that song, it just gets in your head. It's such an earworm.
You don't like Tom Jones. Thunderball's it's just I don't. You Only Live Twice. Wasn't that Shirley Bassey too?
Maybe.
I know she did 3 of them.
Maybe that one was her too.
But then I couldn't tell you. I know Our Majesty's Secret Service was just a theme. There was it wasn't lyrics.
Right.
Couldn't tell you what Man with the Golden Gun was. But
it had a song.
Spy Who Loved Me. I don't know if you knew this or not, but
so good.
Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it half as good as you.
Then Moonraker. I just want to say Moonraker.
But that's Moon River.
I know.
I mean, my favorite Bond theme is Live and Let Die.
Wow, do people even know that was a Bond song?
I hear it on the radio all the time. I feel like
I hear both versions on the radio.
Right, the Guns N' Roses and Paul McCartney.
And Paul all the time.
And you're a huge fan of the Duran Duran.
I love View to a Kill from Duran Duran.
I hear that on the radio every once in a while.
I hear it all the time because I have it in my car. I can listen to it whenever
I hear Spy Who Loved Me on the radio every once in a while.
Yeah, but I think a very underrated one, and I know you think it too,
The
is
Chris Cornell.
Quantum of Solace with Jack White.
Oh yeah, the Jack White Alicia Keys one.
Oh,
that's such a good song.
Right.
Like
on its own, by
itself. Like I heard that on the radio when I was living downstate, and it was like a slow night at the restaurant that I was working at, and he let us have the radio on, and it had formerly the station that he had the radio tuned to was like a light jazz station, and one day we turned on the radio and it had become top 40. Like overnight they just had a format change, but he let us keep it. And there was one night it was slow enough that we could actually hear the radio, and the DJ was like, and here's the new James Bond theme, like all goofy like radio DJs are.
Right. And
I was like, God damn, this is a good song. Like it's a good song by itself.
Yeah.
Like they mentioned some Bond stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's such a good song.
It's a really good song.
And you'd never think that I would have never thought the two of them as a pair would have made sense.
Combined so effortlessly.
It's a great song.
It's a really good song. And the Chris Cornell Casino Royale is just an amazing movie. And then Skyfall.
Skyfall is like,
didn't that win an Academy Award?
Yeah, she won an Academy Award for that. That song is amazing.
Right, because she's just belting it out.
Right.
But
it's just like The World Is Not Enough. Like the song is better than the movie.
Pretty much.
And I mean, and Skyfall has good parts as a movie.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a bad movie.
You get to see Bond kind of he's supposed to be kind of losing a step.
Right.
If I recall. Oh, that's because he got shot. That's good, right, because Moneypenny
got
shot him.
And then he just drinks and drinks and drinks.
He's got
until shit starts going really wrong.
He starts indulging in his hobbies. Just
drinking and fucking.
The island women. Or whatever.
Some kind of drinking contest with a scorpion.
With a scorpion on his hand? I don't fucking know.
Like, is that a thing they do on an island somewhere? Maybe.
This isn't part of anything. You're just doing this on your own. He brought that scorpion with him.
He had that with him when he came in. I don't know.
Think he knew that was on him? But then Spectre, the song.
It's just depressing.
Sam Smith? What else has he made?
I mean...
Is he British?
He is British.
Yeah.
And he's kind of...
What's his American equivalent? What would be...
I don't know.
Any sort of historical equivalent. Because I kind of remember that song being a downer.
It is a downer.
It's not...
I mean, and none of his songs, the ones I've heard, I've never heard an upbeat song by him.
Like, you just had this fantastic opening action scene, and then here's your
downer.
Awesome slow Bond song.
But it's like...
It really kind of kicks...
He makes... And, when I first heard him, not that song, but when I heard a song that was by him for the first time, I thought he was black.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like, Rick Astley kind of sounds black.
Uh-huh.
And then you see what he looks like, and you're like, what? But I thought he was black. He's got, like, a really soulful voice.
Yeah.
But that's what... He makes love songs.
But they got him to do it.
Well, wasn't the other one? Could have been Radiohead.
Right.
But that song's depressing as shit,
They had Radiohead record... It came out like a year after the movie did. It's like the unreleased Radiohead song for Spectre. And everyone was like, oh, they should have done this. I thought that song sucked too.
Right.
I'm also not a big Radiohead fan.
I mean, I like Radiohead, but I agree that it was not a Bond song.
No. What the hell? Shirley Bassey's not dead.
Right. Just get her to do it.
Just get her to sing the same song.
Just get Adele. What same song? Goldfinger?
Goldfinger for the opening of Spectre.
Can we cut that together and see what that would, if it syncs up with the opening credits?
Any sort of difference whatsoever? God, this is still fucking depressing.
That's my Bond complaints.
Ugh.
For now.
For
I mean,
now.
I'm sure there are more.
Yeah.
I should have been writing them down because it's like
The-
Roger Moore. I didn't mind him as Bond in like a handful of movies, but like
Yeah.
the longer he was Bond, the pervier it got.
Well, yeah, because when he was Bond in Live and Let Die, he was already 44.
Right.
And that was in 1972, 73, I want to say. Yeah, he was already 44. View to a Kill was 1985. So he was
old.
40, he was 50, he was almost 60 years old.
Right.
When he stopped being Bond.
Too old to be having sex with Grace Jones.
No.
She would have broken.
Well, he wasn't Bond anymore after that, so.
So she did.
But it's in the trivia for View to a Kill where it was revealed that, what's her name? Tawny? No. The girl, the blonde chick that screams awful.
Right. I don't know her name. I know who you're talking about.
One of the moms on 70 Show. She was.
Oh, right. Yeah, she's Donna's mom. She
was Sheena. Tanya Roberts. That lady.
Yeah.
It was discovered that her mom was younger than Roger Moore at the time of filming.
Oh.
So.
That's creepy.
That was an incredibly weird age gap to have.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, Roger Moore bowed out. But when he would be with his leading ladies, the longer it went on, the more and more weird it got.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, like, when Timothy Dalton showed up, the action scenes became more believable.
Yeah. Well, not just that, and I pointed it out when we were watching Living Daylights.
Yeah.
That Bond, as a character, became less lecherous.
Yeah.
Maybe is what I was.
Like he wasn't
super pervy. Like he did still have like sexual one-liners, but they weren't like unwanted. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he in his 2 stints as Bond, what did he only slept with like 4 women tops, 5 I think. In the first one, it's the woman on the boat.
The woman on the boat, which isn't expressly said.
Right, they might have just had
drinks. And then the other lady.
Right.
At the
end.
The only other girl in the movie. The one Bond girl in the movie.
Yep.
And then
in License to Kill, it's the guy's lady.
He didn't actually have sex with her.
They did.
No, they didn't. That was just a ploy so he could escape.
And the woman, the short-haired
lady, they apparently had sex on a boat.
Yeah.
Twice.
Because it was right after they like rescued each other in the bar.
They escaped.
They had sex on the boat.
Yeah.
And then they had sex again at the end.
Sex at the end. So really, he only slept with
4.
3
that we know of.
3, possibly 4. And
like Timothy Dalton was the most respectful Bond.
Yeah. Well, George Lazenby. Oh no, he went through all those chicks
in not all of them because he got caught.
But he
had sex with a few
going
of them.
after all those ladies that were being brainwashed.
Right, which is super messed up.
It's messed up.
And then he marries the one he had sex with in like a barn.
Right. So he does the right thing in there.
Except with all those brainwashed women, they were brainwashed to be assassins or whatever,
or to carry a plague.
Something like that.
I don't remember.
Who played Blofeld in that one?
That was Telly Savalas, and he smokes weird.
Yeah, he smokes his cigarette like backwards.
Yeah. So, the James Bond franchise, it's a fun watch. If you keep track of stuff and how weird shit is.
Right. Especially when you watch
highs and lows.
When you're like binge watching them.
Yes.
Like I could see how maybe people would forget, especially now that there's the internet. But I mean, most of these came out before everybody was connected and you could look stuff up instantly.
Right.
Where maybe you'd forget things because it's been 3 years between them and
right, unless it was brought up in like a news article, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know that Jodan Baker had just played a bad guy in a Bond movie.
Now he's back as a completely different character. He couldn't have gotten anyone else.
Literally anyone else.
Would he not leave the casting office? You're just like,
you need a good old Southern boy.
Need a good old Southern boy. Somebody just give Jodan Baker a fucking part and get him out of here. Seriously.
Man, I got a lot of tables.
Let's get Jodan Baker out of here. He keeps eating all the craft services.
Everybody needs a fat best friend.
Everybody needs a fat guy. That's me. I was going to be in True Lies, but they cast Tom Arnold. Joe Don, you were not ever going to be in True Lies.
Sure, I had the titular line.
You had the titular line in True Lies.
Yep.
What was it?
Man, all these lies, they're so true. They're like... I couldn't even say it. Oy. Good
times.
Good night. Did you see Rian Johnson? This is a completely non sequitur.
Are we done talking about James Bond?
Oh yeah, no, I'm done.
Let's just be done about Bond. Okay, moving on.
But I read yesterday, because Rian Johnson frequently responds to like people on Twitter when they get at him about stuff.
Yes.
And somebody was bitching about The Last Jedi.
As people are wont to do, apparently.
Something about, like, Luke never would have been able to project his image and have it be so believable. It's like, first of all, everything else in the Star Wars universe is okay, but not that. But he didn't. What he mentioned was he took a picture of his bookshelf. And it is full of Star Wars books. And they're not, and he made sure to mention, like, these are not books I bought to prepare for this movie. These are just books I have. And he pulled one down, and it's like it's some long-standing Star Wars book. I can't even think of the name of it. It's like the Jedi Handbook or something. And he took a picture of a part of it, and at the bottom, it mentions that if one is so in tune with the Force, they can project their image and have it be believable, and people can touch it and believe that it's real.
So this is in writing.
Right. It's something that predates him as a director, predates him as a writer.
Yeah.
Like
predates this whole new trilogy.
Right.
It's been out there.
Or something. It's like lore, Jedi lore.
So he just did shit. He didn't just pull shit out of his ass.
Right, he didn't just pull shit out of his ass.
It was stuff that people should have known if they were fans of Star Wars.
I've seen people on Facebook complaining about it. Or, like, more often, people that I'm friends with defending it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not friends with a bunch of douche nozzles.
But so we're late to the party, but we watched Last Jedi together.
Yeah.
And
our kid loved it.
Our kid watched a good hour
More than
of
half of it, yeah.
And which is amazing, but then she started running around the theater. We were alone in the theater, by the way. We're not assholes who let their
2-year-old
kids run around the theater. But I thought it was great.
Right, and you're not a Star Wars person.
I would not identify as a Star Wars fan at all.
And I am.
You are.
I'm what I used to sort of like Star Wars purist, and even that now sounds super fucking gatekeepery. Pompous, sure. Yeah. Because I prefer the original trilogy before George Lucas started going back and changing stuff.
Those darn special editions that just kept getting more and more special.
There's only like 2 changes that I'm okay with.
Yeah.
And it's putting windows on Cloud City, because that makes sense. Like, why don't they have any windows? They have this beautiful view. You don't have any windows. I get that one.
Yeah.
And then the explosion of the second Death Star. It's because originally it was just like a...
You mean both Death Stars?
No,
because they added shockwaves to both of them.
But in the first one, the explosion was much larger, and the second one was just kind of like a poof, poof. So they made it bigger, which makes sense. Like, they're the same...
Would that have been a good sound effect?
Yeah, like a fart.
Just like John Williams' music is swelling, and all of a sudden it just goes... You think
that's what happens with stuff that
would have ruined the movie?
But, like, those are the only 2 changes I like.
Patty's okay with.
Everything else is trash. Like, adding fucking dewback walkers and banthas. That's a prequel bullshit. And I don't accept prequels.
What are you talking about? They added that to Return of the Jedi. Before he throws the Emperor down the shaft.
Well, that, and in Empire...
Yeah.
when Luke willingly jumps, they added him screaming. It's like, why would he scream? He just jumped. He chose to jump because he knew he was going to call out to Leia.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a casual fan of Star Wars. I always have been. I was never the person that. I mean, I do have a Star Wars lunchbox with my name on it, but that's neither here nor there, right? It's Star Wars droids. But I never had like bed sheets and T-shirts and posters of Yoda on my wall. I never had any of that shit because I wasn't really that big of a fan. And then the special editions came out 20 some years ago for the 20th anniversary, and now I go see those and I'm watching them and I just like I feel nothing. I felt like, okay, it's just Star Wars. But everyone around me was like fucking in love with it. And it's just like Star Wars, yeah. And it's like everyone's saying Star Wars is the greatest. And I just felt like I don't like it. Does that mean there's something wrong with me?
I did go see when they re-released them theatrically. I went and saw Star Wars. And it was like there wasn't a lot of there were some special edition changes. Like the fucking the
dewback lizards
and the extra banthas with stormtroopers riding them, and it's like right. So I had problems with that even then, which was what, like 96, 97, and so I didn't go see the other ones because I was just like, I can watch these at home without other people,
right? Because
we had them on VHS. It's like, why would I go?
And at the time, did anyone really know that that's all we would get from now on? I don't think so. Because there was a home video release before the special editions came out, and they had this little sticker on it that said, for the last time, the original versions, or something like that. And I don't think anyone really knew what that meant. And then these special editions came out, and you either loved them or you hated them, but it didn't matter, because that's all you're going to get from now on.
Well, we have... Yeah. There's only one format that it exists on that we don't have.
Yeah.
It's because like the players don't. What's it called? Like LDAT?
I just found a player for it at Goodwill.
But they look like giant floppy disks.
Giant floppy disks, yeah. But we own. We have a cabinet, so don't let us say that we're purists.
Like I really am. Like I'm a fan.
She is.
We have it. We have like 2 or 3 different Laserdisc sets. We have
3 different Laserdisc sets.
Do we have it twice on beta?
Just once.
Just once?
We have it twice. Well,
we have it 3 times on VHS.
Well,
my mom just brought over those special edition ones for some reason.
Okay, so this is what we have. We have a cabinet downstairs. I shouldn't tell you this because then you might come and rob us.
Nobody wants this.
Won't get all this Star Wars stuff. We have a cabinet downstairs. In it, the original VHS releases of Star Wars on VHS and beta.
Yeah. Those are mine.
And then in 1992, they released the definitive collection on Laserdisc. It was like 6 discs per movie.
Yeah.
And along with that, there's a VHS release in widescreen for the first time on VHS in widescreen. It's a whole box set. Then in 95, out came what is called the Faces.
The one with the Maltin interviews.
The Leonard Maltin interviews on them with George Lucas. And we have that in full screen and widescreen.
Don't we have that on Laserdisc and VHS?
Yes, and we have that on Laserdisc, and we got a lot.
Like we have them.
We have a Star Wars.
We also have. I mean, I have them on the dual disc DVDs. So one side is special. Actually, one side is it's special edition. When you flip it over, it's the Laserdisc rips. What we don't have is the Ultimate editions because I sold those to Julian Lennon.
Yes,
a person named Julian Lennon. Probably not the Julian.
No,
Lennon.
Probably not.
But I'm going to pretend that it is.
But I counted up recently. We in this house currently have Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi 11 times.
Because we have them on Blu-ray.
11 different copies of of those 3 movies are in this house currently, in one format or another.
So it's safe to say.
It's safe to say, but
if I complain about a Star Wars movie, it's generally because I actually love it.
She loves it,
except for the prequels because each of the prequels maybe has like 1 or 2 good scenes that I tolerate / like.
And yeah,
then the rest of them can just be away from me forever.
Right.
So when I say that I like The Last Jedi,
Yeah.
and to have people like consider me like a traitor
Right.
to Star
Like,
Wars,
you
is
like
bullshit.
it? What's wrong with you? It was terrible.
Oh, so bad. Like Leia Supermaning through space.
Why? Why do you, what? I feel like, and I was thinking about this the other day, like every time I've heard someone describe their theater experience when they watched it for the first time, there's a scene in the beginning where it's like picks up right where Force Awakens left off, where Rey is handing Luke the lightsaber, and he takes it.
Spoilers.
He takes it, and everyone's like, "Okay, here we go. It's been 2 years. Let's get on with the story." And Luke just casually throws it over his shoulder.
Nope, fuck this.
I laughed so hard at that because I thought it was awesome. I was like, "Oh, okay. This isn't going to go how I thought it was going to go.
Right.
They're not going to go on an adventure because Luke clearly wants nothing to do with this."
He became a hermit for a reason.
Right. And we also, to clarify, didn't watch trailers for Last Jedi. We avoided all marketing for it.
I managed to avoid.
Yeah.
Because at some point I remember, because I follow Ryan Johnson on Twitter and I follow Mark Hamill on Instagram.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, both of them said, like, from this point on, it was like December 2016.
It was like the Super Bowl trailer or
okay,
something.
yeah, it was like the beginning of 2017. They were like, after this, try and avoid everything. And I was like, well, I'm going to believe these two people.
And that's something we usually do anyway. We don't watch trailers for stuff if we know we're already going to go see it.
Right. It's like a Star Wars movie, you know we're going to go.
Most of the Marvel stuff. Did you watch a trailer for Black Panther? No. Okay, cool. I've seen
the poster.
I didn't see the trailer for Infinity Wars, and I'm not gonna.
Oh, me neither.
Because it's like,
we know we're gonna watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. And the best part about watching a movie with completely no expectations at all is that you just get to watch the movie.
Well, and we've noticed it that we went to see things in the theater in the past that we skipped the trailer. Oh, Spy was a huge one.
Yeah.
Where,
and it's really fun because
like in the during the movie, they tell the joke.
Yeah,
we were the only people laughing, and it's like, oh, I guess that was in the trailer.
Yeah, and we will watch the movie, and then we'll watch the trailer for it, and see all this stuff that would have been ruined for us.
Well, like we just finished watching that Bond movie, and then we watched the trailer for it after, having not seen the trailer since the trailer was new.
Yeah,
and it's like it gives away.
It's pretty much everything. Scene in the movie. Every shot, every action shot in the movie, but cut down to a 2.5-minute trailer. And people have been complaining that trailers been giving away the movies lately. It's like, this is not lately.
And even, you're going to complain about it, stop fucking watching them.
Right. Stop watching trailers.
Stop watching a trailer and making a reaction video.
So, and that's the problem with Last Jedi that everyone had, they'd watch the trailer for it, then they'd watch the movie. And then it wasn't the Star Wars movie that they were expecting.
Right.
And it's not the Star Wars movie they wanted. And apparently this happened with the majority of the people that saw it. And they were just angry. And I didn't get it because we watched it with totally fresh eyes. I watched the teaser for it like a year ago, but that gave nothing away.
I don't think I even watched the teaser for it.
Yeah, it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe, but it told you nothing. It was just shots, and I thought like, oh, okay, whatever. But I didn't watch anything else after that.
And I had told people, like somebody asked me like before the movie came out, like something about a porg, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what that is.
I was like, as soon as she said it to me, I said, look, we're in the middle of a Star Wars conversation. I have to assume what you're talking about is something from The Last Jedi, and I want you to know. Stop talking. I love you, Lauren, but stop talking.
Yeah, we were playing the trailer for it at work for like 2 months, and I avoided it every time it showed because I didn't want to know. And then we found out the movie's going to be 2.5 hours long, so there's going to be a lot going on in this movie. So we sat down, we watched it, and I just, maybe it's like the not Star Wars fan in me that was just okay with everything that was happening.
See, but I
wasn't mad that.
For me,
yeah,
because I've always been, as much as I love Star Wars, I love to fuck with other Star Wars people. Like, my old boss at Blockbuster, hugest Star Wars fan, fucking loves them. We would watch them at work sometimes, and I would like something would happen. Somebody would say something, and it's like I've seen these movies so many times. You don't really have to look at them to know what's happening. And like I'd be like, "Well, come on, Eric, that doesn't make any sense. Like, explain this to me." And like he would have like this like broken down perfect answer, and if he didn't, the answer was always the Force.
Force, right? Midichlorians.
And I feel like Rian Johnson is like a kindred spirit, like somebody that loves Star Wars but also hates fucking Star Wars fans at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so here's all this cool stuff that J.J. Abrams set up. Yep, fuck all of it. Burn it to the fucking ground.
And that's what
I
absolutely love, because you expected Snoke to just live and be the villain in the third one. You expected them to like do all this stuff.
And just no. And to me,
that was refreshing to see.
I told our nephew, because we sort of talked about it like quietly at a family Christmas party, because there were people there that hadn't seen it.
Right.
And he mentioned like how disappointed he was that Rey wasn't special.
Right.
And I said, well, first of all, I kind of love that she's not. Because that, to me, means anybody can have the Force.
Yeah, and which...
It doesn't have to be...
And
you don't have to be, like, in a family line of Jedi.
Your lineage
or Sith.
Doesn't matter.
Anybody. But then I told him, I said, but that information came from a bad guy, so it might not be true.
Right, Kylo could have been lying to her.
To get her to join him.
But then you brought up there's a lot of shit that I've been reading, but there's a lot of shit that they don't talk about or they haven't mentioned. Like, you brought up the fact that how did Rey get away from Kylo?
They just don't show it.
They don't show it. The next time, like, they have that scene together, and the next time you see her,
right, she's back in the Falcon.
Flying the Falcon with Chewie.
But yeah, how did she get back to the Falcon? Because he like jettisoned her in like a pod, like a casket tube or something.
Yeah.
To him and Snoke.
So clearly, Chewie came back down and rescued her,
right.
Or picked her up. No one's talking about that.
Nobody's talking about like that. That to me is like a big, not a plot hole, but like there's a chunk missing.
There's something missing there that they didn't tell us. And also, everyone's saying like nothing happens. It's the middle part of 3 movies. Do you guys not remember Two Towers?
Well, but it's even if
it didn't have a beginning or an end. It just was
like a general trilogy thing either. No. Like look at the Star Wars trilogy. Like things happen in Empire.
Yeah.
But they end. They have failed, and that's how Last Jedi ends.
What did they accomplish in Empire?
They got Han captured.
Han got captured. Luke lost his hand.
He found out who his father was.
Found out who Darth Vader was. Leia.
Nothing.
Didn't do anything.
No, Leia discovered that she was in love with Han.
Yeah. 3PO got blown apart.
It's
Lando. We got a new guy in Lando. But what really? Oh, you met Yoda, but that didn't really do anything.
Right. He trained.
You just meet this guy.
He goes to go train.
Dagobah and just trains. But really, nothing happens in Empire. You meet Boba Fett, I guess.
Right.
But that could also be the same thing as like Benicio del Toro in Last Jedi.
Like maybe he's going to come back.
Right. Fair to say he will. But
right, and they complain about the stuff on the casino planet. Right. Like I've seen a lot of complaints.
It's pointless.
It's like it's not pointless.
It's not.
For one, it's these 2 characters who should not be heroes in the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them. Like
he was a
stormtrooper.
Former stormtrooper. And
she's a mechanic.
Right.
They shouldn't be heroes, but they go down looking for this guy, and she's got such a big heart, and she's so not a hero that for her it's more important to save these animals and stop these and show these kids that like there's better things than their current life.
Yeah.
And in turn,
and in the end of the movie,
keep telling the stories of the rebellion, and then clearly the kid has the fucking Force.
Right. I don't understand. No one is talking about that. The kid reaches for the broom and it comes to him. Does no one see that? Like, that kid, clearly there's something special about him. Who is that kid? He's clearly a nobody.
He's
So-
just like a slave child on this rich asshole planet.
Yeah, he's the what
He
is-
keeps the animals calm.
Yeah,
Like that's what their jobs were, was to keep those giant
Yeah, and
cat horse things.
no one has talked about that. Like, oh, it's totally pointless. Well, did you not see the last 5 seconds of the movie? I don't understand, like, the hate for it. I think it's hilarious, first of all, because as someone who's like just so outside of Star Wars,
Right.
looking in at all these people fighting and throwing all these like punches, it's so funny to me because it's like, what the fuck?
It's a fucking movie.
It's a fucking movie. Calm down.
It's a movie about like a magic religion in
It's a
space.
space drama, and it happened a long time ago.
And so far away. It's far, far away.
It's-
But I tell you,
yeah.
it could have ended in a more interesting way.
How?
Maybe Rey joins Kylo Ren, and then they start their own Jedi Academy. Like they then like start recruiting people that
Should-
maybe have little inklings of the Force.
Should we just tell what our idea is?
Yes.
Okay. This is our idea. We were talking about this and how it would be the funniest fucking thing in history, and also people would pay to see it.
And then
Maybe-
they'd be so pissed. They're gonna be pissed
right,
anyway.
They'd be pissed about it, but if they were to remake the movie Police Academy with the exact same plot line and characters and shot for shot basically,
but
but
as a Star Wars movie.
but call it Sith Academy. It's literally just Police Academy, but with Kylo Ren as be the captain.
Yeah, I guess. And then like Rey would be like the super hot blonde chick,
She would be the blonde chick.
the tough chick.
I don't know who would be.
Well,
who's Gutenberg's character.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac would be, yeah.
I can't even think of his name.
Fuck. You'd think I'd never seen the 8 Police Academy movies before. Fuck.
All I can
don't
think of is
remember.
Tackleberry.
Tackleberry.
Well, because Chewie would be Hightower.
Who would do this? Who would be Michael Winslow? Who would do the sound effects?
C-3PO.
C3.
Or R2-D2.
He would just start doing like Jimi Hendrix. You'd see R2-D2 with a headband around him doing Jimi Hendrix.
Sith Academy.
Sith Academy. Summer 2019.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You'll watch it.
Disney.
Disney. Fuck you. You'll buy it. You gotta fill out your collector's.
Right, you need to own it.
You need to own them all so you can fill out that shelf.
That was an idea that we had had.
I really think Sith Academy has potential.
I memean, we did have, I thought, like a really good rundown for an Obi-Wan standalone.
Yeah, because they're making
Han Solo.
Han
Comes out this
Solo,
year.
which, by the way, not one goddamn production still or trailer for, and the movie comes out in May. So they must have really, really redone that fucking thing.
I mean, Ron Howard's got his work.
But
cut
it
out
doesn't
for him.
matter because it's still going to make $500
Right, it'll make
million
money. I really don't
despite
have
itself.
the only thing that interests me in the slightest is
Yeah.
Donald Glover.
Right, he's Lando.
Right,
Yeah,
because I love him.
he's very
I think
talented.
he's great.
He's awesome.
Like, I mean, this is going back to
Mystery Team.
before then when there was just their channel.
What was the name of it?
But like
Derek Comedy.
Derek Comedy. That's right. There's
Yeah.
the spelling bee, and the maddening of a Hatter,
Yeah.
and the one about like being in film school. It was like Girls Always Lie or something. But it's like, I mean, going way
Yeah,
back.
That's
for
from
me.
like, God, when was
like
that?
early 2000s.
Yeah, he was like one of the first YouTube guys.
Yeah.
And it spawned into, now he's fucking playing Lando
Right.
in the Han
Like
Solo
he's doing
movie.
really well.
He's got
And one of the
Atlanta.
other guys from Derek Comedy was in The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
He played one of the Apple geniuses.
One of the geniuses.
Because I was like, oh, that's the other dude. From
I had
Derek
no
Comedy.
fucking clue what you're talking about, but you seem certain that that's who that was.
It was.
So I just had to go along.
He
with
was
it.
in like a State Farm commercial too.
Oh right, he looked exactly the same.
He looks exactly the same. But yeah,
Um,
so that's the only reason I'm interested in Han Solo.
Yeah.
But if they made an Obi-Wan movie,
right, which they are.
They're-
They're
right.
in their very early stages of it,
and I feel like
it has the
it would
potential.
be a massive mistake on their part.
Yeah.
To not just get Ewan McGregor to do it again.
Everyone knows this, and it's this thing that they're teetering on the edge right now between it's a good idea and it's a fucking terrible idea. Where it's a good idea if you just fucking get Ewan McGregor.
Because he'll
do it.
He said he would do it.
Yeah.
He still looks pretty much the same. He's still good looking.
He can pull it off. And it's amazing that it's even a question.
Like, you still have the actor who just played him in the prequels. He played
Obi-Wan like 15 years ago, and he was probably, for me anyway, one of the best parts about the prequels is him being Obi-Wan.
I'll give you that. I didn't,
because he went on adventures, and he wasn't mopey and talking about sand, having the worst love story of all time.
Yeah, but he killed He killed Darth Maul, and Darth Maul was the shit.
Darth Maul was good.
I love Ray Park.
Let's talk. So we came up with an amazing, I think, the Obi-Wan movie I'd love to see.
Is Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
On Tatooine.
How much longer after? Well, this has to be.
It has to be.
Like Luke is how old?
Well, it has to be
obviously
after Revenge of the Sith, but before Star Wars.
Obviously, that's 17 years, 18 years.
He's 19.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be 19 in Star Wars.
Let's say he's 17.
Okay, well, like it's been 15 years.
And Luke has never met Obi-Wan.
So why don't we just set it 15 or 16 years after?
Yeah.
So that he's aged properly.
Yeah, because he could be totally age appropriate, but.
Oh, right, because Alec Guinness.
Because Alec Guinness kind of looked pretty hit.
So maybe it should be relatively soon after.
Yeah.
Because it's a planet with two suns.
Because
and that was one of the things that I asked Eric.
Yeah.
Like, because it was after the prequels had come out, and I was like, I want you to explain to me how Luke has only been on this planet for like 18 years, how Obi-Wan goes from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness in 18 years. And he's like, oh, the planet's got two suns. It ages you faster.
Right. But let's say it's like 2 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Because they're still hunting Jedi. Because they clearly in Order 66 wasn't, the purge of Jedi. They didn't get them all. They couldn't have gotten them all, right?
Well, they definitely didn't. They didn't get Yoda.
Right, they didn't get Yoda. They didn't get Obi-Wan. So they escaped. And they're still, like, Vader is still doing the work of the Emperor. And so now
he's just laying low.
Yeah, Obi-Wan is just on Tatooine because he's there to protect Luke. Leia,
she's off being a princess.
Actually,
a baby princess.
Vader doesn't even know about either of them.
Right, and he thinks they're both dead.
So Vader would just be, if he is in the story at all, it's just
by word of mouth.
Word of mouth that Obi-Wan,
like what him and the Emperor are doing.
Yeah, and so.
And you can't mention the Death Star because Obi-Wan didn't know about it.
Yeah.
When they came.
And there's not even like whisper in the window. It's just like fuck the Death Star. It doesn't need to be in this at all. It has nothing to do with it.
Right. They'll save on special effects money.
Right. We don't need to see another Death Star in a Star Wars movie. But what they could do is, Tatooine is a planet. There's a lot. It's a whole planet.
There's more than just this little mud hut,
the moisture farm, and
there's more than Mos Eisley.
Yes, it's a planet. Obi-Wan could get into some shit,
like maybe something on the other side of the planet.
Right, it could be
he goes for groceries, and like some shit goes down.
It could be like a Magnificent Seven type of thing where there's these people that need help, and Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi's there.
He happens to like roll into town the day shit's going down.
He's clearly been to Mos Eisley before.
Right. He knows that there's shady characters there.
He knows something's going down.
Like maybe he has to go in to that very same cantina to find somebody for information, or
like it could be like Logan was, where it's a
story that exists. Like he doesn't leave the planet.
No, he doesn't need to leave the planet. The planet's big, and there's clearly a lot of shit on it.
There has to be.
There's fucking creatures in the ground.
And then we can find out what the skeleton in the sand.
Right,
like maybe he killed that thing.
Like let's reverse engineer an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie from all the shit that we've already seen on Tatooine.
Right, like kind of like they did with the Thing prequel.
Yes. We know there's pod racing on this planet. There's an action scene where he's fighting with some guy during a pod race. and a pod race zooms
Goes by.
Yeah.
And they're like in the middle of the track.
Yeah, and it could be something with the huts.
Let's explore some other huts.
There are other huts, clearly. There were 2 of them at the pod race.
Well, and in the extended, which I don't even think they call it the extended universe anymore. It has another name for like the books and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was telling you, that in a couple of the books and on the show, they expanded my favorite character, which is Cy Snoodles, who was the singer in the Max Rebo band.
Right.
And like they flushed that character, like they gave her so much extra story that she used to be married to a hut, which is how she knew Jabba in the first place. So like there are other huts. Like Huttese is a whole language. They're, like the language Jabba is speaking.
Right, they're gangsters. They're into a lot of shit.
Let's do something
Obi-Wan
with that.
and what was we were thinking like a way to explain how Obi-Wan got from looking like Ewan McGregor to looking like Alec Guinness was because he's been communicating with Yoda
via the Force
on Dagobah, which who fucking knows how far away that is, but he's been like doing what Luke did in Last Jedi. He's materializing himself on Dagobah.
And clearly it wore Luke
and it wears him down. Yeah.
So he died.
Yeah.
Because he didn't die, he became one with the Force.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
But it ages you in a way because you're using so much of it.
Maybe.
And that would explain why he's so
right. Maybe that's pulling
looking. His
energy, like it's sapping him.
Right. And he's missed a step when it comes time in Star Wars when he fights Vader.
Right, you can explain that too. Like he clearly hasn't kept up his practice with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
He still uses his Jedi mind trick. Like he still needs that for things.
Yeah, any Jedi do that.
And he can still like levitate things, but he hasn't wielded his lightsaber because he knows like that's a dead giveaway
of who he is.
And somebody might sell the information and then
find out why he's called Old Ben. He just calls himself Old Ben Kenobi, or that's how like the opening titles of the movie. If you saw Rogue One, you probably did. It says it just like there's a whole opening and then it's just Rogue One. You know, there's no opening title crawl. There's no nothing. I think with the side stories they should keep with that. No opening title.
I agree. No crawl.
And then it says Obi-Wan or whatever they're gonna call it. Hopefully it's just that. And then at the end of the movie, the title flashes again, but then it morphs to Old Ben. And then the title starts scrolling.
Well, and we talked about that the ending would be him like looking out over the desert with binoculars, looking at Luke on the moisture farm.
Yeah, like full-grown Luke or a young boy Luke.
Still a boy.
Yeah, like 5.
But showing that like the dome of the house and the farm, so you know it's the same place.
Yeah.
And I feel like after we came up with this whole Obi-Wan movie, like I feel like I read somewhere that like that actually is the end of one of the books. Is where it ends with like Obi-Wan looking out over the desert at Luke.
Yeah.
So it's already canon
it's already
for
out
that
there.
to happen.
Yeah. So someone's already had the same conversation.
Probably.
And he could just, go to like other parts of the planet. Because I feel like when we go to these planets in Star Wars movies, this is like singular locations when it's like there's a whole fucking world here.
And you know what? In Rogue One, it bothered me the most.
Yeah.
Because it's like giant letters of like, here's the planet we're
on. Here's the name of the planet.
It's like, you're there for 5 minutes.
I don't care
you've told me 15 planets in the last 20 minutes. I don't even know where we are anymore.
I don't care. Why can't you be like every other Star Wars movie and just have a character say the name? Or don't. Who cares?
Well, but that's the thing. Like, when they decide to make a Hollywood movie out of a Broadway musical, where most directors, they try to keep it wide and huge and spectacle, and you can tell that it's a movie based on a stage production.
Yeah.
Like, always.
Yeah.
Because, like, they think that you need to keep it big and huge. But, like, it really needs it needs to come in smaller. And like that's what this movie needs.
Yeah, it
doesn't need this huge grand universe scope, all these planets. Like
not for this one.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Leave it on one planet.
Yeah.
And it's just what he's doing on this planet to occupy his time.
To occupy his time, or there's what Joel Edgerton played what's his name? Owen in the prequels. He's a big star now. get him to come back, and him and Obi-Wan could do shit together. Because
right,
then,
like maybe he pops in,
yeah,
like while Luke is at the market or
something getting,
he's at the Toshi
he's at
station,
the Tashi station
getting power converters
or something, and get Joel Edgerton in on this shit. I think there's so many avenues they could go down.
Well, right. Even if you started it at the scene from Revenge of the Sith, where like he's handing the baby to them, and then it's like just like a montage of like 2 years of him like twiddling his thumbs, like batting like a ball on a paddle,
setting like, wherever he lives, setting up his place.
But like just a montage of him kind of being bored,
of him like yeah,
like living in solitude.
And solitude sucks. I used to travel over the fucking galaxy. Now I'm stuck in this shithole planet.
I used to
with 2 sons.
God
damn.
So hot. So fucking blue milk.
Fucking hot. Blue milk is like all they have. You gotta watch where you step or else you'll fall into a fucking pit.
Every time I go to this fucking bar, it's always the same band playing the same goddamn song.
Goddamn pod races all the fucking time. Gangsters. Weird dinosaurs walking around. And this could be a good thing, but it all starts with just fucking casting Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
And from there, make your movie.
Make the movie.
Fine, leave the planet. I don't care.
But don't cast someone else.
Get somebody else. Don't make it a teenage Obi-Wan. We already fucking saw that.
He was a Padawan when these prequels started.
Padawan and Phantom Menace. Thanks, George Lucas, I guess. We get to see Obi-Wan as a little kid.
I don't care where the things I love came from.
Fucking want to see that. I don't want to see him as a whiny teenager. Fuck that.
We already got that with Anakin.
We already got that. We don't need that again. I want grizzled old man Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We already got that too.
Shit. Less
grizzled, less old.
Still got it though. Obi-Wan Kenobi. What else did we talk about? I think that was about it with the Obi-Wan stuff. But there are interesting things that they could do. And I'm not going to be mad if they don't do them, but it would be funny if they did.
Well, and then even if it's like, you know, there are so many other like side characters in the Star Wars universe,
right? That
Star Wars fans would recognize by name or description. You know what I mean? Or like even from the TV shows, like one that Declan watches, was it Rebels?
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebels, and it's like there's pull in some of those characters. Whatever.
Oh, the one thing I thought about that would really drive the movie home for me is who directs it, like who they find to make it. And the last couple times, these 2 movies they made, the directors they found haven't really worked out that well. Gareth Evans, yeah, made Rogue One.
Yeah, not Edwards.
The guy that made the Raid, totally different. Would be a fucking way better movie. But yeah, the guy, he made Rogue One as best he could from the sounds of it, but they didn't really like the direction he went in, even though I'm pretty sure you got to tell them what movie you're going to make before you actually make the movie.
Right.
And then you make the movie and then they don't like it, so then you got to fucking reshoot shit. Whatever. And then with the Han Solo movie, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller started filming it, and apparently they didn't like what they were doing at all. Fired them. Hired Ron Howard and then practically reshot the whole movie. Right. And that's why we haven't seen anything yet. Which, first of all, why don't you just fucking release it in Christmas? Why you gotta go with a May release date?
May is generally when
right. The last
not since Disney bought
3 though have been Christmas. So now you got this big
because they already had Marvel movies set to release on those dates.
Right, but now
so they didn't want to compete with themselves.
You've got Avengers and Han Solo opening in May.
Yeah, but that's not really cannibalizing markets.
That's really just being a dick, actually. Yeah. But the director, I think, if they got who would just be like seal the deal for me, if they got Gore Verbinski to direct the Obi-Wan movie, because Gore Verbinski made the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He made the first.
The Ring.
We have to say the first American version of The Ring.
I was going to say the first remake.
In 2002, he made Mouse Hunt. But and then he made, for better or worse, Lone Ranger, which
was better than I was expecting.
I liked. Whatever.
We own it.
It was like what, $5?
Yeah, actually I think it was a gift.
It was No, you got it when the video store went out of
that's right.
business.
When the video store was going out of business, I bought it.
But
The thing I...
Lone Ranger, he is such a solid visual director, and he's
Lone
not
Ranger's
someone
actually a perfect example of what he could do with
yes
an Obi-Wan movie, because it's very like
in the desert.
Yeah.
And he would really just make it stand out from like what someone else would do with it. It would be like, and he already has a relationship with Disney,
right?
Because he made a fucking Disney ride
into a fucking crazy
$1 billion franchise that they're still making movies.
They're still milking,
and they are not as good.
No, his 3 are very clearly the only good ones.
Very good, and the last 2 have been just like clearly not made by him. And if he signed on to make an Obi-Wan movie, heartbeat. I'd be there, because I know he would do something fun.
Who directed Cowboys and Aliens?
That was Jon Favreau. Because
that's another good example of what would work.
Right.
And he also has a relationship with Disney.
Jon Favreau would kick ass, but he's making The Lion King.
Oh, right.
For some reason.
Live action Lion King.
Live action CGI Lion King.
Most of the CGI means it's like more animated than the animated.
It's still animated. It's just in a different way. God, you people are gullible.
I'm not a fan of the Disney live action remakes. My own self.
No, I'm not. I've never been a Disney fan to begin with.
Well, we just bought Tomorrowland.
That's a different thing.
But that's based on a ride.
That's also based on a ride at Disney World, which I still haven't gone on. I've never been to Disneyland.
That's Disney World.
World in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I can never tell them apart. What's the difference? What is the difference?
Disney World was the first one.
One. But now, between the two, what's the difference?
Disney World has Epcot.
Has all the classics.
Right. They have other stuff.
Magic Kingdom.
And then
in California.
Disneyland is in California. They just got the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. They took out the Tower of Terror and put in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
I can't remember what they took out Mr. Toad for. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was my favorite when we went. My favorite.
And that's gone?
Yeah, they took that out a long time ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like the 90s. Like the late 90s they took it out.
Fucking get rid of this thing.
Nobody likes this.
Nobody likes this
Nobody
shit.
likes Wind in the Willows. Rah!
If they do, they're not coming back.
Oh. Well, my kid fucking loves Mr. Toad, and now we can't ride on it. So fuck you.
So thanks, Disney.
Bring it back.
So yeah,
maybe we should
wrap it up. We got to hit the button. We don't have a wrap it up button. We need to get one of those.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there.
This was fun. This was energetic. Did we hit it? No,
we talked about everything.
We talked about everything
on my list.
Right on. We even made a list this time. We're slowly beginning to prepare ourselves. So I think, were we done?
Yeah, I think we're good for now.
For now,
for the month, I think we probably won't make another one till February.
2 a month. This is good. One of the things I would hopefully want to be able to complain about next is my hatred of movie posters.
Oh my god, we could do an entire hour.
My movie posters and DVD covers and just basically marketing in general.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another time. And I think we're done for this edition. This is episode 2
of Joe and Patti Have Complaints.
In the bag. Thank you for listening.
Bye.